But, Mr. President, we now know what has happened. These people here, our colleagues on the other side, Mr. President, if they are serious, the first thing they need to do is to plead with their presidential candidate to step down from the race, so that power after 8 years can come to southern Nigeria in line. Mr. President, I have the floor, Mr. President.
The stakes are higher because I believe that will be my last outing. And
so that's incontrovertibly
that is incontrovertible.
Fact.
Okay.
Yes. Right. So beyond the fact that you have said conclusively that that'll be your last outing, why should Nigerians take that gamble on you now? Why should they believe that you represent the future and not the past?
I represent both the past and the future. Simply because we have seen various levels of leadership in the country, both young and old, and we're experiencing them. And I still believe that our expectations of the young leadership is below what we thought. And we believe, I personally believe, they require experience and they require tutelage from the older generation.
Yeah, but you don't have to be in power to give them that.
Omoagege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me begin by saying that on a good day, I ordinarily would align myself with the intent behind this bill. Ordinarily. But Mr. President, I'm taken aback. This is not a bill for constitutional amendment. It is not a bill to amend the Constitution. It is not. I think Senator Moro ought to know very well. As my brother and colleague alluded to earlier, the Constitution is very, very clear. To deprive somebody of the right to run for office through a provision of a piece of legislation enacted by the National Assembly, which is contrary to the provision of the Constitution, will render that very act of the National Assembly null and void as it should be. Not too long ago, we had this exercise to amend the Constitution. I would have expected, this is a good bill. It's a very, very good bill. I would have expected Moro to bring this bill, and most of us would have gone for it. But while waiting for the next opportunity, Mr. President, at least until Senator Nara spoke, I was very, very curious that everybody who was speaking and contributing were from the other side, the PDP. And I found it very, very interesting. Interesting because we in APC, we believe in the intent behind this bill. That is why after, excuse me, let me speak, I'm on the floor. That is why, Mr. President, after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, all of the governors of southern Nigeria, they met in Asaba. Excuse me, I have the floor, and I have the protection of Mr. President. You know, they met, Mr. President, I'm sure I have the protection.
DSP, you are protected. Senator Bete Apiafi, stop harassing the DSP, please.
In Asaba, the Delta State, all the governors, our elected governors, people were elected to govern us in the entire southern Nigeria. They all met and took a position as enshrined pretty much in this lead debate. Mr. President, not only that, our governors in the north of APC extraction also took the position as enshrined. Excuse me, I have the floor.
DSP. DSP. Yeah, you have. Okay.
The mic, So all the governors in northern Nigeria of APC extraction aligned with the position of the governors of southern Nigeria, irrespective of political parties, and supported the content of this very bill. But, Mr. President, we now know what has happened. These people here, our colleagues on the other side, Mr. President, if they are serious, the first thing they need to do is to plead with their presidential candidate to step down from the race, so that power after 8 years can come to southern Nigeria in line. Mr. President, I have the floor, Mr. President. I have the floor. You know, that is, Mr. President, we don't need to codify. Why waiting to codify this into law? Charity begins at home. Why waiting to codify this into law? Why don't we do what is right? Why don't we do what is needful? The North haven't had power for 8 years. Power should come to the South. So they should tell their presidential candidate to step down from the race. Thank you, Mr. President.
I mean, this may be your last realistic shot at the presidency. Does that make the stakes higher for you this time?
Certainly, yes. Because the stakes are higher, because I believe that will be my last outing. And
so that's incontrovertibly
that's incontrovertible.
Fact.
That
Okay.
Is.
Right. So beyond the fact that you have said conclusively that that'll be your last outing, why should Nigerians take that gamble on you now? Why should they believe that you represent the future and not the past?
I represent both the past and the future. Simply because we have seen various levels of leadership in the country, both young and old, and we're experiencing them. And I still believe that our expectations of the young leadership is below what we thought. And we believe, I personally believe, they require experience and they require tutelage from the older generation.
Yeah, but you don't have to be in power to give them that tutelage.
Sometimes you need to be.
I mean, you could be doing it now.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be, because what I was able to learn from President Obasanjo through his experience, I couldn't have learned it outside.
Right. But critics say you represent the same political establishment Nigerians are increasingly frustrated with. I mean, why should they trust you to deliver something different?
But look at it. Look at, the political experience. It's been a mixed one. We have had so many young governors in a number of states who have failed woefully, when it comes to governance, Charles. And I believe those type of people still require tutelage, still require to learn from experience. Believe me, I don't think I could have learned, if I were a president, what I have learned under being vice president to president, because he came with tremendous experience from a military head of state and now to a civilian president. There was a lot I learned.
But I wonder if the real challenge for you, Mr. Vice President, is not just defeating the incumbent, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but convincing Nigerians that you are not more of the same. I mean, I know I'm banging on a bit about that, but why should they take the risk of choosing you now after so many previous attempts?
Well, there is a clear and stark difference. Take the cases of the state governors in a number of states being headed by relatively young people and failing woefully simply because at the apex they did not have a capable and experienced president to guide them and to, of course, give them the benefit of his experience. And that's why we have been having a number of very, very woeful leadership at a number of states, because they are being headed by inexperienced young men. Young men also require experience to be able to succeed.
But is it an individual thing or a systemic thing?
I think, to me, I will describe it as a systematic issue, because we have had more failures in states than we even had at the federal level.
Because I'm wondering whether you're saying that the system only became broken when you were no longer in power.
Not necessarily, but when we did not have capable presidents with experience at the helm of affairs.
And when was that? I mean, everybody, to be fair, recognizes the time that you and Obasanjo were in office as a sort of golden era.
That's right.
After sort of the return to democracy. But what other time after that are you talking about?
For instance, let's take the era of after Umaru Yar'Adua, who started very well and was succeeded by Jonathan Goodluck. I know Jonathan Goodluck very well, a decent young man, but also inexperienced. That, I believe, attributed, to his failure to manage affairs of the country, particularly when he was faced with challenges. So these are the type of things that we, in fact, what I would like to see is real leadership training of our upcoming and young generation politicians. I wish I could introduce a leadership training.
Well, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, you own a university. I mean, you could start a leadership institute.
Yes. We need it. We need it in this country.
But it hasn't occurred to you all this time that that's something you ought to do?
Well, the university is an independent body.
Right.
It's a growing institution. It's a little over 20 years now. And of course, not that it hasn't produced very, very exceptional products. I have met their products all over the world, and I was astonished to see them. But then, as you know, universities are a developing institutions, so maybe in due course they should be able to do that.
Yeah, obviously you can start a leadership institute independent of the university. But you are now aligned with the African Democratic Congress, or ADC, at a time when the party is facing legal battles as well as internal disputes. Do you believe that your presence on the ADC is building a viable platform, or are you joining a coalition that's already under terrible strain?
Charles, I must be frank with you. I am one of the initiators of this coalition, or perhaps the leading, initiator of the coalition, because I remember when the PDP lost the last election, I addressed the party. I said, I don't see a future for PDP unless there is a coalition, or a broad-based coalition or alliance. And the PDP leadership disagreed with me at that point in time.
What made you say that?
I said it because I studied, the political history of Nigeria. And I saw how alliances worked in the First Republic, in the Second Republic. I mean, so it is not difficult for one to, to predict or to explain, to what I will say, students of, because I consider those young politicians as future leaders of Nigeria. So it's my responsibility to point out to them. And I pointed out to them that the only future for PDP is in broad coalition. And they disagreed with me. And the reason why they disagreed with me was simple. Simply because they didn't want to see my face, not what I was proposing. And now they have found themselves in the same position.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering is, what was it that made you say that the future of the PDP was only in coalition, having yourself been a presidential candidate of the party?
Study the political history of Nigeria.
No, I know, but that's a broad thing. I'm talking about specifically, what is it? What did you see in the PDP that there was a warning sign for you?
Because there was a decline in the popularity of PDP, and the states they were winning. So there was a decline. There was no way, they could have won on their own without, a coalition.
Was there the nettlesome factor of Nyesom Wike there?
Well, I mean, in fact, more or less it was like a kind of gang up.
Gang up against you?
Possibly,
against the party?
Possibly against the party or based on their individual ambitions.
Right. Now, you're in the ADC coalition, as we said. I mean, is the coalition driven by a shared vision? And I'm coming off the back of what you just said about what happened in the PDP. And you've been in several political parties, including the APC. So you've got a very good sense of how parties come together and what makes them fall apart.
Yeah.
Is this coalition of the ADC driven by a shared vision or simply a shared determination to remove Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Let me say both, because Bola has been a very bad president, to be honest with you.
How so?
Because I didn't expect that from him, in the way he governs the country, whether economically or otherwise. It's a disappointment.
Right. Well, I'm going to return to that issue in a minute, because that's obviously important. But if the ADC is about vision, which you suggest that it is, can you clearly state what unites you beyond opposing the incumbent?
Well, a number of things unite us. For instance, the issue of deepening our democratic institutions and the issue of separation of powers under the Constitution. We feel very, very concerned about that. We have seen how virtually, a presidency has almost turned the various institutions that are supposed to be checks and balances, under one roof, which is quite dangerous.
Right. Okay, you've run for president now, as we said, multiple times. Some have called you a perennial contender. I'm sure you've heard that yourself a number of times. And you are aiming to run again in 2027. What, if anything, makes this attempt different from the others?
Different in what way, Charles?
Well, that's why I'm asking you that question. What makes it different from the other times that you've run?
What makes it different from the other times is that you have a more broader coalition now. You have elements from APC, from PDP, from NMPP, from Labour. That makes it a much broader, coalition than what even happened in the past before. Yeah.
But for you personally?
For me personally, I see a lot of future, because within the broad coalition, you see people of my generation, you see people below my own generation, and, you know, down the line. So you can see clear, you know, succession, you know, pattern emerging. Yes.
Wasn't that the same thing that happened in what was the APC coalition?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I didn't see it in the APC coalition. You know, I left the APC quite early. Once I realized that they are going the wrong way, I left.
Some would say once you realize that your political ambition wouldn't be achieved.
Not about that. It wasn't about the personal ambition at all. No, absolutely not.
So what was it about?
Quite a number of things. I mean, of course, you are dragging me to, you know, start going into the administration of late President Buhari, and I wouldn't want to do